everyone, and welcome to the LTC EdTech webinar series. My name is Brian Bates. I'm the Director of Professional Learning with the LTC. Before we get started today, just a couple quick reminders about the webinar, as well as how to access it later. First, we will be recording this webinar, and you can access the recording later on this afternoon at ltcillinois.org/events/webinars. It's written there on the little banner on this home screen. So you can be sure to check that out if you want to rewatch the webinar for more tips and tricks, or if you wanted to share it with other people that you work with and think that might benefit from it, please do so. Also, you will be muted during the webinar today. If you have any questions, please throw them in the chat box. We'll do our best we can to get those answered either during or after the webinar. There'll be a Q&A session at the end where you can ask some questions as well, and we'll make sure to get those questions answered for you. And finally, PD, for those of you who are attending live, will be issued tomorrow morning. So you should be able to find an email from LTC Events in your inbox tomorrow morning at some time with the evaluation for the evidence of completion for those of you who are attending live. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Holly Kelly. She's Regional EdTech Coordinator for the LTC, serving the southeastern part of the state. So Holly, whenever you are ready, feel free to take over the screen, and the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Brian. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. So in the chat, just as a housekeeping, sorry, the very first link that I added is not the correct link. It was to a different video or a different slide deck. So if you go to the chat at the bottom of your Zoom, you will see use this one, SC, and you will also see that on your screen in front of you from what I'm presenting. And that, again, is in the chat. You can feel free to copy this presentation and use it in your district if you would like. I would say to provide credit to the LTC. And once again, that's bit.ly/use this one SC. I had to think on my toes with that one the last 30 seconds as I double checked and it was not correct. So thank you again, Brian. Thank you everyone for joining us. Today we are going to conduct this webinar on using Screencastify to support remote learning. So hello again, I'm Holly Kelly, and my email is hkelly@ltcillinois.org. Like Brian said, I am a Regional EdTech Coordinator for the Learning Technology Center of East Illinois, and I conduct professional learning opportunities for teachers, educators, administrators, and tech staff to support digital teaching and EdTech learning. The LTC is an Illinois State Board of Education supported program. If you would like to learn more about the LTC, you can go ahead and click that LTC icon in the top right corner. You can find information on the website regarding the LTC community, email list, the Spark Parent Portal for parental or guardian help with remote learning, upcoming events and webinars like this one that we're on right now, and also additional information like ILTPP, which is a purchasing program information, etc. So the LTC has a ton of information, especially to help us with remote learning right now. So this is the target question here for right now. Why should we learn yet another tech tool? Because this is an introductory level webinar on Screencastify, this question does come up because most likely you are new to Screencastify. If you are not new, that is okay. Stick with us or feel free to continue watching as you may pick up on something. If you are live, feel free. If you are an expert or know something, enter it into the chat as we are all a community of learners here. So with that being said, we have to find ways to connect like that chat. It is so important, and relationships are key to maintain in remote learning to encourage academic engagement and emotional stability. And every tech tool that we learn, like Screencastify, provides us with the ability to connect to our students, is a huge step forward and really a source of positivity. And it also allows for some differentiation with our students, and Screencastify definitely does that. I will mention Screencastify is not the only screencasting tool. I have provided some other screencasting tools also in this presentation if you want some differentiation for cost and so forth. So with that, Screencastify, it's an introductory level webinar. We're going to explore how to use. We're going to talk about what Screencastify is, how do you access. I'm going to teach you the steps that teacher-student use, how do teachers use and how do students use. And then I'm going to provide you with some activity ideas, and along the way, we're also going to record some screencasts so you can see it in action. So here's up, screen what? A screencast is a digital recording of a computer screen output, also known as a screen recording, often containing audio narration. And you've often seen screencasting in YouTube videos a lot of time. I feel like that's what we always relate screencasting to. Before I knew how to do it, I was always watching how-to videos, and then I realized how to actually create screencasts. So an example of this, if you haven't seen a screencast, recently I just created a blog for the LTC website regarding extensions for teachers. And this is a screencast that I created to basically help teachers learn how to add an extension. And one of my colleagues created this video that you're seeing here on the screen, and I was able to clip that into my screencast. And then here, if I'm going to unmute for a second so you can hear the screencast.
Chrome extension to your web browser. First, we need to access the Chrome Web Store. You can do that by simply entering into the Google Omnibox Chrome Web Store.
So here you'll see a few things. You'll notice that you only hear my voice, and if you look at the screen, you'll see it being recorded on my screen as to what I'm doing for demonstration to show someone how to add an extension, a Google Chrome extension. In addition, you'll also notice you don't see a webcam, because with Screencastify, you do have options as to what you want to include in that recording and what you don't, which is a really nice feature, especially for academics. So we all love a badge. If you really don't know yet what badges are, some people haven't yet quite explored them. Badges are basically a certification icon that you will receive after you do some training with an app or with a program. So with a program like Screencastify, they do have two badges. A lot of individuals like putting their or displaying their badges either on their homepage, on their school website when they do introductions or they introduce themselves. They also like to use it as a signature piece. Screencastify does offer two different badge programs, and you'll see those listed, and they are both hyperlinked. The first is the Master Screencaster Junior, and the other one is Master Screencaster. The Junior is for students, and you'll see here by me clicking. And you can also do this as well if you made a copy of this presentation or added it to your bookmarks. You'll see that students can go through and start this course, and it's only 10 minutes long, and they can receive the badge. It's basically an introductory level to get them thinking and being able to see how Screencastify works. This is very similar to the Master Screencaster as well. But you'll see this is an hour long, so it is a little bit more detailed. I highly encourage you, if you plan on using Screencastify, if you are using it, go ahead and explore both of those, because with only a 45-minute webinar, we may not be able to get to everything. You may be able to pick up on one thing, and if you pick up on one thing that you can use in your class, it was worthwhile. So that's definitely a suggestion. So here we have Screencastify. You can go ahead and click this link, and that will take you to the Screencastify website, which is step 1. So we're all different learners here. Some of you can just put me on in the background and work on this as you go and just follow my voice instruction as an audio learner. Some of you really need that visual step-by-step. So depending on how you learn, I'm trying to provide a few different ways for you. So with this, it's a step-by-step as to how you can access and use Screencastify for all of our different levels out there. The first thing we would have to do is visit the Screencastify website. you'll see an icon or a box pop up that says Add to Chrome. You'll see when I click on Screencastify, it says it's already installed because it's already installed. If you've never installed Screencastify, the option will present itself with the blue box that says Add to Chrome. It's free. So that's your first step to get started. Once you do that, step 1A, it will ask you to accept permissions and agree to terms. And what that means is that you're accepting that Screencastify will have access to your webcam, your microphone, record your screen, and also display annotation tools. So if you agree to those, you can allow that, and then you can also check the box to send occasional emails or notifications to you. Step 1B, select your role. That is just determining what role you play in the school, if you're an administrator, a teacher, or a parent. Once you complete steps 1 through 1B, you are now a Screencastify user. So from here, steps 1C through 2A, we are going to explore this together so you can see what those options are. So I'm going to move this down. Okay. So in the top right corner of my screen, you'll see this red coral color arrow. That is the Screencastify app or icon. To get that icon there, once I added the extension and I am accepted into the terms, if I click this puzzle piece for extensions, you'll see Screencastify, and to the right, you'll see that it's pinned. And what that pin means is that it is for easy access and it is always available next to my URL box. So because I use Screencastify a lot, I always have it presented there. So I'm going to go ahead and click this Screencastify box. When I click this, and you will see this as well on your screen, this is almost the main page that you will use when creating screencasts. So I'm going to walk you through what these steps are. The first is the hamburger icon. When we click this hamburger icon, you have a few different options. You can access your recordings once you start recording. You can access your subscription level because there is a premium and a free version. You can see your options editor, and this is where you can edit all your screencasts, your help options, and where you can switch accounts. For right now, with step 1C, I'm going to go ahead and click options. So here are the Screencastify options. They're pretty simple. The first thing and most important is that Google Drive. That recommended is by Screencastify, because as soon as you create a screencast, it will get put into a Google Drive folder labeled Screencastify. So for easy access and easier workflow and more productive workflow, it is very important to have that toggled on. But you do have the option of saving it on the local device, and there is a little blip under there about that feature if you decide to save it to the local device. Next, you have notifications, which you can toggle on and off. You have keyboard shortcuts. I have created 2 slides just in regards to configuring recording shortcuts and view drawing tool shortcuts. It seems as though there's like 2 camps of people who love and use shortcuts and people who don't. So you can try to use them. And if you are a shortcut user, I would highly suggest you to go through there and you can configure them and also find out what the shortcuts that are already created. You have recording settings. So open video page after recording, that is toggled on. And when we do a recording, you'll see how automatically the video page, the recording, will show up. And then you can also toggle those features on and off as well. You have privacy options and advanced options as well. To the left of this screen, I have the hamburger again, and it is the same as from the option from the page that I was on. That was just the pop-up block. So from here, when we go back to our pop-up, we have a few other options. You also can access your recordings from here or from the hamburger or from the play button. You have the bell for notifications, and then you have advanced settings here. I would like to mention these settings are different than the settings, the gear that's here, which is options. And if I click, it'll allow me to, the advanced settings, you'll see those options there. Okay, so let's go through these next ones. So steps 2 and step 2A is select a screen and toggle on and off. So you have 3 options. You have a browser tab, a desktop, and a webcam. What that browser tab, it's the perfect option if you want to show your viewers what's happening on a specific tab in Chrome. We use this option most when we want to record over like a Google slide presentation, for example. The only caveat to that is you can't change from tab to tab. So if you wanted to change from tab to tab, you would then select desktop, which you'll see here is selected already. So desktop is a good option if you wanted to use multiple tabs. And then you also have the webcam only option. And this option is really perfect when you just want to speak directly to your students, for example, with no screen involved there or screen involved. So that's the webcam only, apologies, or no audio. So once again, the browser tab, when I click on this browser tab, you have the option to toggle on or off the microphone or embed camera. Embed camera means if you toggle this on, you will see that embed camera there. If I click show more options, with each recording feature, you have that countdown feature. You have 3, 5, or 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a lengthy amount of time. Personally, I always go with 3, and you do not have the option of shutting that off. So I usually just have that 3 seconds, but that is where you change that. Show drawing tools. When you are recording, you can annotate. And if you want to close those off, you can. And then you have this tab auto. So what is tab auto? It is, for example, if you wanted to capture the audio from a web page or a computer program, for example, like YouTube, and you want to be able to capture that audio, you would then toggle that tab audio on. You'll notice in desktop, you don't have that tab audio feature, and in webcam, you don't as well. So with that, and like I said, to clarify, webcam is ideal for when you just want to speak directly to students. So here also you have a few different options for camera. You'll see that I have 2 different options here that you can select if you wanted to use a different camera. And the same is for microphone as well. And you can see my microphone is working here to the right, and I have a few different options for my microphone. So that is those steps right there, and that answers the how do I access. So on slide 9, coming back to the presentation here is a video of those keyboard shortcuts if you are a shortcut user or if you would like to attempt to use them. And here is a list right here of all of the shortcuts that are already created that you can use. And then on slide 10, you pick what you want to share. If you forget what those 3 different options are for recording, they are here for a later viewing as well. So steps 3 through steps 8 is basically where the magic happens, as Screencastify says, and this is where we can record, edit, and send our videos to our students via Google Classroom or YouTube. And then once you get to step 8, congratulations, you're an official screencaster, so that's pretty neat. So let's go through some of that. I am going to go ahead and we are going to record a screencast for demonstration purposes. And what I'm going to show you how to do is how to add a Giphy or Jiffy, depending on what camp you are there, to a slide deck slide. And in that process, we are going to use Screencastify, so then I can maybe later share that with someone else. So here we have a slide deck that I created. So hypothetically, this may be a part of a longer presentation, and we're going to be taking a 30-minute lunch break. So enjoy your lunch, and there's 2 pictures of me. And I'm going to go ahead and click the screencast icon up by my URL bar. And I'm going to click desktop. I tend to always use desktop. I am not going to embed my camera because I already have a camera here at the bottom. And for just this purpose, I am going to turn my microphone off because you can see what I'm doing just from my pointer. So I am going to click record. This screen will automatically pop up, which is the share your screen option. This screen does sometimes mess with a few individuals because you'll see that I can't click share. And if you haven't used Screencastify, you'll learn after a few seconds that you have to click and select the screen you want to share, even if there's only one to share. So once I select my screen, I'm going to click share, and you'll hear the 3, 2, 1 countdown. That beep means I'm now officially recording. So now this screen also looks a little different here. At the bottom, you'll see I have a few different options. And this is those drawing tools that we were able to toggle on or off in that screencast pop-up. So I'm going to go through these really quickly with you. The pause is to pause recording. And then if I were to pause the recording, I could come back and click play. The pointer option automatically highlights these 3 pointers. So we have the focus mouse, and you'll see the shortcut next to it. And I am in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, which this will actually help. So now I'm in my focus mouse, and now you can see how it's a spotlight. I can also add hide cursor when not moving. You'll see that my cursor, well, I'm on spotlight, it will now disappear. However, because I'm on spotlight, the spotlight will still be there unless I have to actually toggle that spotlight off. And now when I stop moving my cursor, it will disappear. And then we have one more option for a cursor, and that's highlight clicks, which is one of my favorites. And what that does is that when I go to click something, you'll have a red circle. You can use all 3 features together if you wanted. And for this purpose, I am going to simply leave just the red circle on. You also have the pen. You have a plethora of colors to choose from here if you wanted to draw on your slide deck, if you're having to annotate. And you also have the option of erasing or mass erasing. And how you do that is by selecting the eraser on the drawing tools and then clicking the white box, white screen clear, and then it will erase everything that you have used with the drawing tool. And then you can also hide tools as well with hitting the X. Okay, so from here, if I was demonstrating to my students how I wanted to add a Giphy, I could go ahead and go up here and go, well, actually I would go find a GIF that I wanted. I already have it saved to my to my browser tab here underneath, or rather to my bookmarks, excuse me. And then I also have a tab opened. So if I wanted to share this GIF, I would click copy link, and I could also click this link as well. And then when I am back in my presentation here, for example, if I was showing students how to do this, I would go to insert image by URL, and you'll see how that red circle, that didn't work. Technology at its best, so I'm going to go with the way I always do, which is copying the GIF link there, and let's see if it works this time. That looks a little better. And then I'm going to go ahead and click insert, and now I have this lovely food truck here. And then when I am done with that recording, for example, at the very bottom, there is a shortcut if you do not want the Screencastify screen video recorder to display at all times. There is a shortcut for that, but I have just the box up, so I'm going to go ahead and click stop sharing. When I showed you the pop-up blocks earlier, one of my settings was to toggle on to have the video automatically start playing and open up in a new tab. And that's what that's doing right now. So here you'll see that my recording is moving. It's already starting to play. And then up here, it created a new tab. So now we're in the editing portion of Screencastify. And this is where Screencastify claims the magic happens. So you can edit by clicking these scissors to crop from here, or in the top right, you can click Open in Editor. When I click Open in Editor, it will send, there's that magic. It will send me to the screen to be able to edit this screencast. So for the first few minutes of this screencast, I was showing you the tools as how to use screencast, and really I'd like to get rid of those. So what I'm going to do is go through some of these features with you. On the very bottom, you'll see that movie strip-like looking bar, and this is where we can edit our presentation. So you have scissors to cut, and if I click cut my cursor, for example, right here, and I click this cut, it will separate those two clips, that one clip, into two separate clips. And if I wanted to delete this clip, it would be highlighted with a yellow bar around, and I can either hit the trash bucket or the trash can, or I can simply just select delete on my keyboard, and that is gone. I can also find, this is when the spotlight was going, find where I began the actual process of recording of how to add that video in or that clip in, as to how to add a Giphy into my presentation. And I could cut all of this out because it wasn't part of that. Wrong one was selected. Also with that, the toolbars for editing, you have cut, crop, which is also, you'll see once again that shortcut. And what crop means is if I only want to display, for example, I'm not sure why I'd only want to display the popcorn, but if I only wanted to display the popcorn, I would crop that clip and be able to just have that clip on that screen. And I need to move this. In the bottom right corner, you'll see done, and you're going to select done from cropping. And let's see if that's, there we go. Sorry, there's a lag there. My computer is having a moment here. It is blipping. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get that back open for you. It's taking a little longer than usual, but that's just part of it. Okay, so it's still pondering here. Come on. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the features just while that's doing, I think it possibly stopped. Okay, so also this magnifying, if I wanted to magnify just a certain section, I can do that as well in part of my process. And then you'll see the magnify tool down here. And then also the other great features, I can also add text to my clips. So if I just wanted to add enjoy lunch, which I've already said, but if I wanted to add that, and then in this bottom, in that toolbar or in that video clip, you'll see this little box here, the voice box. If I extend this, it's actually pretty awesome. It will also be able to display it over that amount of time. So you can shorten or you can have it running the whole time. For example, you may want to put a reminder during your presentations, and that's how you can kind of go through and edit. That is a very short version of me being able to go through. If I was really creating this, I would have to play the entire clip and cut the parts out that I didn't want. For example, the part that we played when the first URL did not work, I could totally cut that whole section out. And that's why Editor is so amazing, because it makes it a little bit more seamless. Some people do not like to edit. They just like the raw version as it adds for more authenticity. Personally, it's completely up to you, as you are the educator for your students. So going back to, I'm going to close this. I'm starting to get tab crazy up there. Going back to the presentation. And our time, we have about 15 minutes remaining, so we're doing okay. So like I said, coming back to these steps, those steps 3, 4, and 5 we just went through, and those are on slides 13 and 14. Those are the drawing tool shortcuts if you wanted to use. And then also in 15. You'll see as well, I had a sample Jamboard, and if we have time at the end, I can show another screencast as to how to use Jamboard, just to use different kind of apps while also trying to teach or to showcase Screencastify. So this is also a great feature of Screencastify. You're able to instantly share to Google Drive. You can instantly create a link. You can directly add it to YouTube, and you can also download it and as well to your Drive and your classroom, as I said. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. In the top, this is the screencast that we just created. And in the top right corner, when I'm on this screen, I can either click Open in Editor, and then when I download that or import it rather, it will bring me back to this screen. So when I am in this screen, you have a few different options. You can copy shareable link, and if I copy the shareable link, it will give me that link. I can click more options and private. This is huge because a lot of teachers will do this for the first time, and then their students or parents will say, we can't open your screencast, we can't open the video. I would 100% look here in your privacy settings, and you can also look at your folder settings as well, which there's a slide for that I can show you. So private, only you can see, and then you have your different options. So unlisted, people who have the link to the video can view it. If you were doing something like YouTube, you would want to make that public, and then you can see those other options. So view on Drive, and then here is where it's so simple and a lot of fun. I can publish it directly to YouTube, or I could share it to Classroom. The majority of you are using Classroom, and here will be a pop-up that will present itself. All I did was click Share to Classroom, and when that pop-up shows up, you have a few options. The first thing you need to do is choose a classroom. So I'm going to choose Google 101. Then I need to choose an action. This all looks really familiar, doesn't it? You can create an assignment, ask a question, make an announcement, or create material. So if I wanted to use this as creating material, I could do that, or make an announcement as to how to add a Giphy. I'm going to create it as that, just because that's what I selected. You always have the option here with Google Classroom to differentiate unless you're sending it to multiple classrooms. I can then select or deselect the students I'd like to send it to, and then I can write my note here, learn how to up your slides with Giphy. I think that's correct. PH, I knew that was not correct. And let's go back. For those of you who would like to see it again. And then right here, up your slides with, there we go. And I could have just left it there, but I just had to make it that way. So here you can add the untitled. You can also click your red light and post it, schedule it, or save as draft. Your same options as Google Classroom, which we love. And then you can click post or save. So once again, once you do that, it'll automatically add to your Google Classroom, and it is very seamless, and it makes our workflow that much easier because we can just do it within Screencastify and within that tab versus having to go outside and go into Google Classroom and then adding it from there. And like I said, you do have some different option as to what kind of assignment that you want to create there as well. The other options here, if we come back to the right of the screen, we have get the embed code. and then we can send it in an email. We can generate a QR code, or you can download. You can export as an MP4 or export as an animated GIF. I have not yet played with the animated GIF very much, and I'm very excited to, but I do know from trying, or at least watching a video and speaking with a colleague right before Brian, he had said that you just have to keep that time limit down, and I know that that was something I had seen in a video as well. So that's definitely something to play around with at a later time. So coming back to our slide deck, we have your permissions, which you can save, change on Drive. So if we go to my Drive and I find my Screencastify folder right here in the middle, and when I right click on it and click share, this is where you can also change these share settings so that anyone can view or not view if you do not want anyone having access to that. So that's one way too, if your students are struggling being able to open, you may want to access that as well to make sure your permissions are accurate or what you're wanting. So from here, here's some information about the pre versus paid, and then there's also the school account that's not there. Your school would have to contact for that price quote. You do see here your options. So with the unlimited, if you had a school account, those are the features that you would receive. And really, a lot of it comes with that editing features, which are really nice because when you blip, you don't need to record the entire thing again. You can just kind of start over in minute 10 or minute 20. And you also don't have time limits as well. So App Smash, this is as well an option that you can use. And this is basically app smashing. There is a video here. This is where you create something in one app like Screencastify, and then you add that to another app like Edpuzzle or Wakelet or Remind. So that's another feature that you can have access to as well and watch that video. Other tools for screencasting, I mentioned at the beginning, Screencastify is not the only screencasting tool out there. These are all hyperlinked if they're underlined, so you can feel free to navigate and do a little research for yourself as to which ones you want to use for your screencasting. I will say with Screencastify, just as a side note, one thing that is really nice is that when you screencast in a Google slide presentation, you do have the option of being able to, for example, if I click this in present mode and I was recording right now, I would have that option of being able to use my closed captionings. And then that is really nice because if I did that, my students would be able to see what I was saying for our different learners, and you can change your text size. But that's incredibly amazing because we can record our closed captioning. So that's a nice feature that I really like. Just as a side note of something I just thought of. This page is incredibly text heavy. I am well aware of it. However, I think you'll really appreciate it. Here's some teacher-student use. Go on, play with Screencastify, become accustomed with it, learn what it is, figure out how to use those cut tools. Once you do that, access this page and see what you can do with your students. This is 7 different tips. The URL of where this came from is below in the notes. Feel free to access that web page, and then you can see different ways teachers can access and students can use Screencastify. One of the ways I absolutely love, and I really wish my daughter would have let me share her video of the umbrella, is recording, finding books on YouTube and muting them, or finding books without words is the biggest one, and that is dubbing, and I absolutely love dubbing because it's hilarious. So I actually created a dub for this, so if you'd like to see it, I'm happy to send it to you. But you could go to YouTube, for example, the umbrella's right here, and you could access that book. You'll notice that there's no words in the book. And you can then go to Screencastify and you can screencast just your voice, basically narrating the book. That's a dubbing. It's just a fun idea that you can do with Screencastify. Confidence is a huge thing. Student, they need to practice a speech. You want to see them practicing a speech. You can require that as part of their assessment. Say, go ahead and practice a speech and send it to me. I would like you to practice it 2 times. And also, as it says there, it's a great way to encourage practice and reduce anxiety, right? So providing feedback, explaining student understanding, practicing fluency, slideshow narration, that's similar to somewhat of that dubbing feature as well. So feel free to come back and read through those slides and see how you can create videos with screencasts for your students. As well, it is a text-heavy slide here. Screencasts and lessons ideas. This is as well in addition to the last one, but a little bit more specific. 25 ways to use Screencastify. These are some great resources that you can use to keep exploring other ways on how to use Screencastify. And then also resources here as well. Screencastify webinars, if you'd like to continue learning about it, classroom resources, privacy, and Ignite Creativity book. And finally, we have my last few slides here. What our students have to say is important, choice and voice. I love this image. Tech gives the quietest student a voice, especially now with remote learning. We really need our students communicating and talking with us and finding ways to communicate. And technology provides us with those tools so students have choice and voice. We want students to learn, create, communicate, and connect. Connectivity is so important. So Screencastify is a tool that can help facilitate that goal. So thank you very much for coming and joining here. And special thanks. This slide deck was created by Slidesmania. If you haven't checked out Slidesmania slides decks, they're amazing. They really are creative, and as you can see, they're quite nice. I like them. So if you have questions, feel free to email me anytime. Feel free to share this slide deck. Feel free to go back through. You can make a copy of it. You can click File, Make a Copy, or you can simply hit the star button in the top URL. If you click this star and Intro to SC, you can leave that there. You can rename it. If I just rename it to Intro to Screencast, and then it would be in the bookmarks bar, or I could create maybe a PD folder there, and I click done, you'll see that now it's right there saved as a bookmark, so I can access it at a later time. So thank you again for coming with me. I think I'll be around to answer a few questions. If you have some, you can feel free to put them in the chat or ask here shortly. Brian?
Awesome. Thank you, Holly. That was great. I love your transition from kind of the very basics of how to get started all the way through those teacher uses. So that was awesome. Love your presentation. And as Holly said, now's the opportunity to ask some questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and feel free to add those to the chat box. I am going to give you the opportunity to unmute yourself, so you can do that as well. So we'll pause here and just see if there's any questions. All right, well, Holly, you did such an awesome job explaining it. No questions. As a reminder, here shortly, once the video processes, the recording will be available on the LTC website, ltcillinois.org/events/webinars. Will be in the on-demand section at the bottom. And as Holly mentioned, make sure that if you have any other questions or want to follow up on this, please feel free to reach out to her. And otherwise, thanks everyone for joining us. And again, thank you, Holly, for presenting today.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Reach out if you want more help or if you want to explore it a little more. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.